People that work in or around porn. What are some of your horror stories? Before someone does an anal scene, they usually do an enema to clean the ass out. We were shooting this new girl and 2 minutes into the anal scene she starts dripping brown ass juice onto a white sofa, rented house. The male pulls his cock and the girl must have squeezed her muscles and shot a huge stream of ass juice onto the sofa and floor. The smell was unbearable. It wasn't your normal ass smell. This was 100x worse. I ran to the bathroom and threw up. The male performer was vomiting on the balcony. The girl was horrified, but what could she do? She was new to the business and didn't allow the enema to fully drain. However, to date that was the worst smell I've ever smelled. It was like it plus death plus rotten mean plus spoiled milk. Just thinking about it is making me feel ill again. Just imagine what a red geyser would look like. Edit 1. My inbox is flooded. I'll answer as many questions as I can, but I don't think I'll be able to get to everyone. Didn't expect the post to blow up like this. Edit 2. Whoa. Thanks for the gold. Never thought a story about explosive poo on a porn set would bring my first gilded post on Reddit. Thanks. Friend did super low budget fetish porn. Got pregnant in her first scene. Life ruined. Fun times. Not porn. Exactly. But written erotica, given that people are getting off to it. I figure it's enough to count. I used to do work on commission from time to time, not often enough that it made a huge percentage of my sales. But I'd occasionally get some disturbing requests through, kids. Particularly graphic gore and assault. Rape. All kinds of stuff that you can't exactly just pick up on Amazon. Usually they'd put the request through in such specific detail that the buyer had obviously put so much thought into it that I got the feeling they were just trying to make someone else think about their fantasy. And that's what got them off. Rather than wanting the material for themselves. I probably turned down about 25% of my commissions because I felt uncomfortable supporting that, and I'm not particularly morally squeamish. Most smut writers work on the principle of your kink is not my kink. But your kink is okay. And I was largely no exception. Some people I knew would take the gig. But slap a 100% surcharge on top. Which makes a lot of sense, after all. Given the topic, you can't exactly turn around and sell it after the fact. So it's a one and done sort of situation. Then there was the guy, very nice. Obviously a bit hesitant to be asking for it, who wanted me to write a story about him being sounded by a Hot Wheels car. He wanted the first half to be able at going in. Which is bad enough. And then the second half to be about the damage the little metal wing mirrors would do as it came out. I politely declined. Because I didn't want to think about that image for any longer than I had to. We knew a girl who got caught up in the camgirl craze. My husband and I have zero problem with sex workers. But we did gently warn this girl that people will ask you to do things that will be on the internet forever. She gave us a speech about how it was none of our business and that she had dignity and wouldn't do anything that could impact future employment. Blah blah blah. 2 weeks later. She was pissing in a bucket while fingering her ass, because someone paid her $20. Edit, obviously. There's more to the circumstances of the story than what I've boiled down into a small post on the net. So if you guys who are sending me messages telling me what I prude I am could kindly go duck yourselves, that would be great. I don't have a horror story. But a successful story. I dated a cam girl for a little over a year. Okay, so she has an Amazon account. And it has a list of it you can buy her and she will wear it on cam. Or she will use whatever toy. She was well known enough for guys to buy her these things. Well, she moves in with me. I catch wind to this. And I have a brilliant idea. Why not put a grill on there? And some other useful household items. It worked. Lol, I guess the idea I had never thought about is I used my address and the internet found out she was living with me and everyone complained LMFAO. But I got a free grill, you duckheads. Throw away. I used to be a cam girl for a couple of years. I did cam sites and sold clips. It wasn't my dream. But I had a good fan base and people seemed to like me. I quit when I decided I'd rather have a normal job. Porn wasn't for me. Anyway. There was one girl on one site whose whole gimmick was that she smoked pot and was a libertarian. She had a ratty attitude about taxes and big government and whatever else. Pretty sure the guys on that site couldn't give her it. But there was a journal section for models and she'd always fill in with libertarian spam. What else? So one day I'm on Tumblr and there's all these other models flipping out. Turns out Atlas Ducked over there made a video with a dog. Like an actual 4-legged dog. So everyone is rightfully disgusted. IDK what happened after that, but I think her account got suspended. Once I was doing a Skype show for some guy from Bahrain. I'm fingering myself with my eyes closed to not hate to look at him. At one point I open my eyes for a minute and his camera falls. When he picks it back up I see like 5 ducking dudes behind him. Furiously masturbating to presumably me. I was really weirded out. Decided to stay off cam for like 4 hours after the Bahraini circle jerk. IDK I have like tons of stories. I'll tell more if anyone actually cares. Edit okay. So there are a lot of private forums for cam girls and porn girls. Most of the topics are pretty average. Most cam girls are just girls who like sex and money. That being said, a lot of them have issues. It's like half and half I guess. Some of the smartest women I've ever met are cam girls. But the job is really emotionally taxing. Anyway. You get a lot of girls who've never had sex ed. Usually Americans. A couple times a year there's a post where a girl feels her cervix for the first time and thinks she's got a pussy tumor. There was one girl who admitted to doing shot fetish videos because she thought her own poop couldn't make her sick. Enough about them. Let's talk about customers. I once had someone's wife come in on him while on Skype. I just froze. Sometimes on the streaming site you get guys who try and dox. That's always scary. And guys who have no money but try to convince you they'll pay after the show. But only if they like it. Just like in real life where you only pay for good meals. IDK. Ask stuff in the replies and I'll answer. This is a story from my friend who is a porn director in Brazil. He got into some financial problems and had to take a few jobs he didn't usually do. Like filming bestiality videos. The company picks him up and they drive a few hours outside of Sao Paulo to some farmhouse where they will film a horse having sex with a woman. The female performer was late so they waited and waited. Finally. She shows up and it's the director, girlfriend. He had no idea she was screwing horses and she had no idea he was filming them. He said. She manipulated the fight to make what he was doing worse than what she was doing. Lol. I haven't worked in porn. But for a while. I was friends with a small circle of actors and actresses. They are always broke. Between the cocaine habits and clothes. They can barely pay their bills. Some of them can't. And this is where problems start. They become desperate for a job. So they wind up doing back office gigs for petty cash. I used to give them rides pretty often. I'd drop them off at a studio. Or a house. Wherever they were filming. And usually hang out for a bit. Pretty cool crowd. The younger guys always had something to prove. Dude has an 11 inches dick and still has to act like he's compensating for something. Still fun to party with. Anyway. One of my friends was scheduled for a shoot. So I pick her up and give her a ride. As we pull up. She ducks her head down and asks me to drive around the block. Parked out front of this house is a literal pimp. White 90s Cadillac. Purple suit. Gold sunglasses. The whole 9 yards. The dude also looked like a fat, hairy, 50-year-old Persian. Sweat glistening in the morning sunlight. Truly a sight to behold. We circle around the block and my friend tells me that he's a guy who thinks he's her pimp because he paid her to suck some dude off on camera. Porn directors are pretty territorial. And the line between director and a pimp named Slickback is pretty easy to blur. She eventually decides to confront him. So we pull back around the front of the house. By this point, everyone was standing outside. Two actresses. The guy. The director. A camera guy. All of them. They're just standing there listening to this guy demand to see his itch. We pull into the driveway. And this dude immediately starts jogging towards the car. In full anger mode. The driveway had a little step up from the grass lawn. Which he promptly trips over. Face first into the concrete. Everyone starts laughing. Now this guy is so mad and embarrassed he actually looks like he's crying. He points at my friend and tells her he's gonna duck her up. Well, 11 inches dick kid had something to prove. So he reaches in the door and pulls out a small revolver. And points it at the guy. What are you gonna do? Wanna repeat that? No. Then gets in his car and drives off. Last I ever heard of him. Crazy cocaine fueled it like this happened all the time. Edit. Okay. A few people have asked about the dude with the 11 inches dick. I never really knew him that well. But some funny stuff did happen. All this took place around Albuquerque, New Mexico. This kid had moved out there from Nebraska, or some boring flyover state. I think. To work for his brother's construction company. He built houses when he wasn't rearranging organs with his gigantic penis. The brother was a 6 minutes and 10 seconds behemoth who looked like one of the guys from Hills Have Eyes. He was always around the set helping out. Nicest dude ever. The kid with the hanger was kind of full of himself. But I would be too if was packing that kind of heat. Okay. Now that that's out of the way. A story. This was a lazy Sunday. And I had been hanging around the set, a little house, because there was a cooler full of Corona and pizza. Most of us were just hanging around. Director tells everyone to shut the duck up. They start filming. And we all watch in awe. It was a pretty standard anal scene. He rails her in the ass for about 10 minutes. Busts all over her face. And exits stage left. It's done. She gets up. Wipes the globs of cum off. Grabs a slice of pizza. And heads to the bathroom to take a shower. As soon as she shuts the door, we hear a faint HNNGGG. Followed by one of the longest farts I've ever heard. 10 minutes of pumping air into her ass culminated in this A+ fart heard throughout the house. We hear the shower come on and all was good in the world. Edit number 2. Oh crap. Forgot another story. This dude would also make bets with guys in bars. He said for every inch longer than him, he'd pay them $100. For every inch shorter, they paid him $100. One dude actually took him up on the offer and wound up having to pay him a couple $100. This was just a story I heard through someone else. So I have no idea if it actually happened. I did hear him make the bet to a friend of mine though. He didn't take the bet. You made it to the end. You are ducking amazing. If you like my videos, support the channel by smashing the like and subscribe button. Thank you.